All right, everybody, it's 10 o'clock. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Long Coffee Break. I'm Joshua Likes, sales engineer out of the Grand Junction office. And with me today, we are very fortunate to have Art Bodar of Friedrich. He's the national sales manager. Today, we're going to discuss the VRF product and go through that stuff. So, Art, it is all yours, good sir.
Okay, great. So, can everybody see the first slide?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Looks good. Okay, so I'd like to introduce the slide to you. This is a project that we completed about almost 2 years ago, obviously in our nation's capital, in Washington, D.C. You can see the Capitol and the Washington Monument in the background. But this is taken from the roof, and this is kind of going to lead into, as we get forward, why that's key. So we'll get to that here in a little bit, but just kind of in your mind's eye, take a photograph of that and put it in your head. So, okay. So we at Friedrich, we like to think that we try to provide products for every spec, every budget, every need for our major markets. And of course, we start off with our PTAC products. We have a good, better, best offering in our PTACs. And it is we start with our Zone Air Select, which is they're all three of the products come with electric heat only, and mechanical cooling or heat pump option. But the Select is obviously one of the budget items that is used in a lot of hospitality projects. The Premier, more efficient, much more quiet, battleship of a product. And then our Fresh Air unit, which has a fan and damper module built in that will bring fresh air in that's conditioned and filtered into the space. Then you get to our Vertipacks, and we've got our standard Vertipack product. We've had it out for about 8 or 10 years. Have sold tens of thousands of those to the hospitality industry and in multifamily settings. And then a product that's fairly new, within the past 4 or 5 years, is our VRP product. And we're going to talk about that most today, because that's really kind of a cool addition to our offering and our industry. Okay. So VRP is really, it kind of combines the efficiencies of VRF with the simplicity of a Vertipack. It is, we had some customers that referred to it as VRF in a box. And it kind of saved you a lot of money. It gives you those features that many owners and engineers find that they desire with a lot of the extra, without the extra added products and system additions that you have with other systems. Okay. And kind of where does our VRP sit? Well, the sweet spot is really kind of right between the simplicity and the ease of a PTAC and some of the more complex units, the VRF, full-blown VRF in a 4-pipe system. So we kind of ride that sweet spot. So you've got benefits of both worlds with the VRP product. Okay. And I want to talk to you about performance, because this is kind of where the rubber hits the road here. So let's look at our 1-ton unit. If you look at the performance data there. So obviously we're going to give you on the cooling side, you're going to get the full 1 ton rated at a ton, no problem. Every day, all day, you're going to get a ton of cooling. However, because it's an inverter driven machine, it's an inverter driven fan and an inverter driven compressor. So you get variable speed on both of those. The turn down on this system, on this unit, you can turn down a 1-ton unit on marginal days to 5,400 BTUs, and you can overdrive the system and it will give you 16,000 BTUs. Similarly, it's the same on the heating range. If you look down a little bit further towards the bottom where it gives heating BTU, it's very similar. So the turn down on heating is you can turn it from a ton down to 4,000 BTUs, and you can ramp it up to 14,000. Where this also saves money is that if you have a size or a heat heat load calculation or a cooling calculation that is just over a ton, say it's 15,000 BTUs in cooling, maybe something similar in heating. So rather than having to go to the next size, you can still use the 1 ton unit. So it's kind of a nice benefit, an additional benefit for the VRP. Okay. And by the way, for the 1 ton unit, it has a SEER of 20, so it's pretty doggone efficient. Operationally, this just gives you kind of sizes of the footprints. Almost all the time we're putting this product in a closet, and you can see the picture on the right there. And but those are the footprints. It's still pretty compact for all the stuff that comes in that package. Okay. And kind of all the pieces of the puzzle come together. Provides efficient cooling, efficient heating, humidity control, and brings in fresh air, filtered fresh air from outside. In the next way, if you look at our part load performance and look at the capacities, so you've got energy efficiency on the left, and along the bottom you've got capacity. So again, you can start at 40% of capacity for the unit, and you can ramp it all the way up. It goes up to about 130%. And you can kind of see where that trails off with the efficiencies, but you can still get pretty doggone good efficiencies all the way through. Okay. And we compared to just a standard heat pump product. Obviously, a lot of those products, if not all of them, will have some kind of changeover when they go from heat pump to backup resistance heat. And usually we're finding around the country that's somewhere between 35 and 40 degrees. So if you look at the operating costs on the left and the degrees, the outdoor temperature along the bottom, you see with a standard heat pump, you hit that switchover point. In this example, we're saying 40, and obviously you see what happens to the operating costs. It kind of shoots up pretty sharply, whereas ours is very linear all across the bottom with the inverter product. Okay. So when you compare and you do an analysis with between our VertiPack, our standard vertical unit, and there are others very similar to it in the market, and you compare it with VRP, while the VRP is more expensive, look at the highlighted number on the right. That is the annual energy savings by going with the VRP versus a standard vertical type of product. Ours or our competitors, they're pretty much the same, very close in that regard. So if you multiply that $385 in energy cost savings times how many units you have in a building, it can be pretty substantial operational savings for the owner of the facility. Okay, and if we look at operationally, I wanted to show you how we bring in fresh air and how that works. So the cutaway here, you see outdoor air coming in, and a majority of that air clearly is to cool the condenser. But we are trailing off, and if you look at the top of that, you see where a little bit of that green line trails off. That is our outdoor air module, and the module consists of an electric damper and a fan, an actual fan. So we're not just inducing it in with static pressure, negative pressure. We're actually have a fan powered unit that brings that in. When the unit's off and we're not operational, the damper obviously goes closed. But we bring that in, we filter it with a MERV8 filter. We put it through and condition it, cool it, or heat it, as the case may be, and dump it out back through the supply. So and clearly the majority of the rest of the condenser air is used for exhaust air to cool the condenser. So that's kind of how we handle outdoor air. And then obviously there's some pretty key advantages here with installation costs. Matter of fact, they're rather significant. When you compare using a VRP system with some of the standard products we've all used throughout the years, those can be pretty complex and extremely costly, both in material and installation. but you see you have a condenser farm on the figure on the right up on the roof. And so if you lose one of those condensers, depending on how it's zoned, you could lose a half a floor, you could lose 2 floors, and you're going to have that portion of your building. Those folks are going to be pretty upset. Whereas with the VRP product, the way it's staged, you've got one package unit for each space. And if you have a problem with one unit, clearly it mitigates all the anger, except for the poor devil, I guess it's in the one room. But you're only upsetting or depriving one space of conditioned air versus, say, a whole floor or a whole zone. Okay, next. Okay, there we go. Repurpose roof. So here's what I want to get back to the roof issue. So when we looked at the first slide, we saw that gorgeous rooftop. That is space that building owners love. Architects love them too, because they can apply their talents to bring the owners just a bunch of wonderful things. But when you don't have all of that mechanical equipment, all those exhaust fans and the condensers and all the other things going with it, sure, there's going to be some, and those can easily be designed, plumbing vents, exhaust fans, those types of things. Those can be repositioned fairly easily. So you have revenuable space on rooftops. It's very popular, not just in the hospitality industry, but also in multifamily, the condominium buildings, to where they can have social activities. There's usually a bar. Sometimes they put cigar bars up there because they don't want to obviously have the smoke inside. This photograph shows a swimming pool. We've only seen one of those, but it's an empty sheet of paper that the architect and his client can play with. So we're kind of giving that space back to the owner for that use. Okay. So you look at the installation advantage. So you've got the VRP on the far right, and the red check marks tell us, what do you need? What are the components you need, and what's the labor involved, and all of that sort of thing. And then you start on the far left with, say, a water source heat pump system. The things that you need for each one of those types of systems are shown in the red check marks. So obviously you need a cooling tower, you need pumps, you need piping, you need controls, and you need a separate unit for the indoor side for the water source heat pump, and you need full DOAS. So all of those things. And as you move to the right, you're going through other systems, 4-pipe chiller, much of the same type of thing that you need. You see with the red check marks there. VRF, you start getting into where it's starting to cut and take away some of those components and make it an easier, simpler system, and thus cutting the costs operationally, maintenance-wise, and initially for the equipment as well. So we're going to play on that VRF system. You go to the next one, VRP. So what do we need? Well, we need obviously air handling unit, terminal units. Ours is a package unit, so it's all in there. We need a mechanical closet to put this thing in the space, and which is a minor expense. But you're taking away full DOAS. There have been some instances where we've been able to relieve all of the DOAS that would support, say, the living spaces. But most of the time, you're just taking it down significantly. So that is a significant cost installation-wise versus some of the other options that you may have. Next is we're looking at I don't know if you have the slide or not in your deck, but we're doing a comparison.
All right, I think that's the end of it, bud. We're good. That was your last one.
Okay.
But you're good. Awesome part. Thank you very, very much. I know this was kind of a hassle to get you on. Appreciate the time.
Certainly. Thank you.
As always, and everybody, if you can reach out to your long sales engineer as far as questions go. This is a very, very interesting to discuss and look at for an approach as well. So please join us next week with Sconti. He's going to be discussing Stellar's boilers, and I really appreciate all the time, and you all have a good weekend. Thank you.